Welcome back to another episode of the Ty Brady Way. Today I have Travis Bonino on the show. And I got to tell you a little bit how I got to know Travis. And this is through my wife, and then we'll get into it. But I got to know Travis when my wife had a crazy idea during COVID. And I love my wife, she's crazy. And I can deal with her crazy. But she wanted to do something during COVID. And she's like, what if we fed first responders? So that's where it started. And interesting enough, Travis and I know a lot of similar people, but I don't think we had met until this point. And then my wife's like, well, somebody said, well, call Travis. I think 3 of our friends said, call Travis. So my wife calls Travis up. You know what? Tell me a little bit about how that conversation went. Because that's it. My wife totally calls you on the phone like, hey.
So again, first off, your wife is crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
I love her. One of my favorite people. I love her. So she reached out to me during COVID.
Yeah.
Told me what she was thinking of doing. It was just down my alley. I'm a huge law enforcement fan, a huge, law enforcement, fire, police, first responders. Big fan of that. I'm an honorary colonel of Sandy Police. So, she hit my heartstrings instantly.
Yeah.
I told her, hey, I'm all over it. That's kind of how it began. Her and I had met kind of through that circle like you talked about. And once we actually physically met in person that day, it was like, whoa, we know a lot of the same people.
Oh, did she come in? I thought she called.
Well, she called me. When she called me, I don't know if you recall, that was during the whole police thing where people were hating on the cops. We had just been recently attacked by the city, Cottonwood Heights. One of the city council women. We had went up to feed them.
Yeah.
And she put on social media, people shouldn't support us. We were feeding first responders. So, I mean, this all happened all about the same time.
Yeah.
And Amanda contacted me. So instantly we just meshed. She's all about giving back. She's all about the community, the law enforcement. So that's that. Her and I just hit it off magically.
We figured over 3,000 first responders fed.
Is that what?
And you figure if it's $10 a head, that was private donation, stuff on your part. Because we fed over. The one was over 300, the one, and that was some of the clothes. Were you with us at West Jordan when we got the picture of the fire truck in the back?
I wasn't there.
I
missed that.
We went there. And my wife would get all, because she's a former Miss American pageant winner, and they had the fire truck, the ladder truck behind. It was like immaculate, and there was 300 firefighters in decked out uniform, and they put her on. All I did was I saw that picture. In fact, we need to find that and post that with this, But it was, but you fed them.
Well, we
got the food from you, and we delivered it,
and we did that. We had donations. It wasn't just our money. Amanda raised a lot of money. We weren't making money on it. We were doing it for our costs. Sometimes we lower our cost. But what a great time to show the law enforcement that they were being supported. Rory Hall jumped in.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, Rory Hall, he jumped in, and
I got to have him on the show.
He's awesome. He's still doing it to this day. He's still feeding the first responders.
Wow.
Quite often. There's days I don't even know he does it. I'll look on our catering list, and he's on there. He's on there on the list feeding the police. So he's still doing it to this day. Yeah. So
he's big support. So we fed a bunch of first responders, and then how did you get in the restaurant business? That's how we got to know each other. But how did you even
my grandma used to own a cafe in Manila, Utah.
Okay.
So down by Flaming Gorge. I used to go up there in the summer, spend a lot of time in the summer, and her name was Maggie. Her nickname was Maggie. She was famous. Everywhere she went, everyone knew Maggie.
Local cafe, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I always thought, man, that's so cool. Everyone knows my grandma. Everyone knows my grandma. And everyone loved me because of my grandma.
Yeah.
And I was just a little kid. So watching her in the restaurant business was fascinating to me. She knew everyone. People knew her. she was out in the dining room every day working.
Yeah.
So I used to peel potatoes back in the back. And she also had a little bar it was called the Villa Cafe. It's actually still in Manila. But she had a bar, and late at night, I'd peek through the windows of the bar and see everyone in there dancing and laughing, and my grandma's in there with them. So from the day I can remember, as long as I can remember, I was going to own a restaurant. That was my goal. My cousin owned Lakai. So as I got older, I'd go up to Lakai, spend some time with my cousin, Stephen or Nelson. I got to watch that end of things, from a cafe to fine dining. I'll never forget the day he did a birthday party for my granny. I think it was her 90th birthday, 80 or 90th. I was still a young kid. He pulled in a limo with her and got out, and Carl Malone was there and some of the jazz stars. And I was, wow, my cousin, he knows everyone, being in the restaurant business. So that's basically how I got into the business. At the age of 14, I took a job at a restaurant down the road from you, actually, down here at Guadalajara. Down in Draper.
I back when they could hire us at 14.
Right, correct. Yep. So I worked there.
What, doing dishes, I'm guessing?
I was a busboy.
Oh, did you? Exactly.
Yep. I was a busboy. I worked there, became the general manager when I was still in high school at 18, 19 years old.
We got a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
I was running a Domino's Pizza in high school.
Hey, you got smart, though. You got out of the business.
Oh. I learned a lot.
That's right. But yeah, so I left there when I was 28, and my wife and I started Sausalitos. I knew from the beginning that's what we wanted to do. People said, "How do you get into Mexican food?"
Yeah,
So I did. I worked in the cafe. I worked in fine dining.
Yeah.
I worked at a couple other little restaurants in between with Guadalajara's part-time. Mexican food was a party. I liked to party.
I love it.
Dude, it was great, because we'd go down to Mexico to check out recipes.
Yeah.
Mexico, it's always fun, right?
Yeah.
You go to a Mexican restaurant, it's loud, it's fun.
Who doesn't like a good taco?
Right, exactly.
Mexican's a party. I love it.
I'm telling you, fine dining was intriguing to me.
Sure.
But it just wasn't fun. Cafe, they're kind of a dying breed. Mexican food, it was, I did it in Draper. I love the culture. I love the people.
Yeah.
So I started spending a lot of time in Mexico, really found a passion for it. So that's kind of how we ended up doing a Mexican restaurant.
At 28 years old, though, I mean, what was that transition like? Because I'm sure you had a secure job, been paid probably fairly well.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I mean, you talked about learning recipes. I never thought that you'd have to, what are you going to, because I'm sure you cooked back in the day, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah. But what was day one like?
First off, it's a huge expense to open a restaurant.
Okay.
From the time I was a little kid, I saved money. I'd saved because I wanted to have a restaurant. So I had money in the bank, but my mother-in-law and father-in-law, they actually helped us. They gave us a loan also. But it's kind of funny you said that, because signed the lease, did our build out. As it got closer, I'm going, whoa, I got to do a menu. A little bit of panic. Right?
Yeah.
Because now it's like, it's getting real. So, started talking to my guys, the people that had worked for me in the past. I had friends come in and start spending time with us, and we just dove in and started building a menu. Spent a little bit of time in Mexico with one of my actually cooks. I went down to Guadalajara and spent some time with his family, really learning some of the.
So he brought a lot of his trait.
Yeah. Yep. So that's kind of where it kind of all came from.
Yeah.
But we're in Utah.
Yeah.
So you can't do real authentic food, especially back then.
Yeah.
It was,
limited on what you could supply.
Right. Yeah. I mean, people call it Utah Mexican food, right?
Sure.
Well, that was the masses. That's what they were used to. So I kind of feel like we were one of the first out here in the south end of the valley to bring in some authentic
as close as you can.
Right. Without scaring people away. So that's that first, when it got close to opening day, the recipes and the menu, that was something that was in the back of your mind, but it wasn't dialed in yet. And it was like, whoa, we got to get this done.
Yeah.
That was honestly probably one of the scariest parts of opening my restaurant, is building that menu, getting the recipes dialed in, and hope to hell that everyone's going to like it.
How important is a good cook?
I've had my same cook since day one. 23 years. So,
wow.
Yeah, my main prep cook, same guys from day one. So that's how important it is. My guys in my kitchen are like family to me. I've got 4 of them that have worked for me from day one. But our main prep cook that does all the prep has been with me from the day we opened. So that's very, very important.
Well, the next thing is, was it always roses? Yeah, I got a couple of things you told me. If you want, So you're
the first, I'd say 13 years was tough. I worked 7 days a week. I'd work 16, 18-hour days. I had a cot at the restaurant. Sometimes I'd spend the night.
You'd say you'd wake up. You were getting up at 4 just to get prepped.
Right.
So for lunch.
Yep. I'd get up. I'd cook lunch. I'd prep in the morning. Open. I'd be the line cook at lunchtime. Then I'd change my shirt. I'd go out front for the dining room in the evening, and I'd work the floor at night. It definitely wasn't easy. Owning a restaurant is not easy.
Yeah.
Is it fun? Absolutely.
Especially Mexican food. Now you say that,
dude. Honestly, it's a blast. And people that come in, they're you don't have to drink to party, right?
No,
it doesn't matter. It's a celebration. You're feeding people, whether it's a birthday, an anniversary, a family dinner. You're feeding people. You're putting smiles on their faces.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's challenging. Like before COVID, we had 94 employees. After COVID, I think we were down to 40 something, but the sales didn't drop because everyone wanted to eat out, but no one wanted to work in restaurants. Wow. So we got our butts handed to us for a couple of years.
Sure.
Honestly, I think it was harder after COVID, those couple of years, than it was even opening the restaurant being broke, just because you were so short staffed trying to, and all of a sudden I went from being an owner that I worked, but I wasn't cooking. I wasn't doing dishes. I wasn't prepping. I was out talking to customers. I had to put all the hats back on again. I had to put my chef coat back on. I had to do dishes. I had to cook, clean bathrooms again. I mean, you could not get help. Fortunately for me, a lot of my key people that had been there with me forever stayed with me.
Yeah.
If I would have lost some of them, you've seen so many restaurants close at that time, especially a lot of the older family-owned restaurants, because those people were in their 60s, 70s, and they had to come back and start working 16-hour days again. They couldn't do it.
That's right.
So they pulled, they just shut their doors. So we were fortunate enough. I was still young enough. I could still put the hours in, and it was almost like starting over again.
Oh, wow.
It was tough, but
I think you say that, I think you and I have mentioned like labor costs is expensive, and even the food, you're like, hey, I don't know if I can do our agreed-upon thing because meat was through the roof.
Right.
And then it wasn't something you're like, or you had to get from this rob Peter to pay Paul over here trying to figure it all out.
Yep. Honestly,
and keep the cost down.
It was like starting over again from day one. When we first opened, when we ran out of money, you were robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. It's like, whoa, how did we go from the success to all of a sudden now you're watching the bank account going, oh, how are we going to balance this out? How are we going to pay the bills again? It was tough. We had to make a lot of changes. We had to evolve.
Well, you started doing takeout. I mean, I remember you did a reel about how you made a makeshift catering, whatever you call it, like workbench or workstation.
It's funny you remember that, Ty. Our dining room. Remember, we turned our dining room into assembly line.
Yeah,
because we couldn't open the dining room, so we did. We set up tables, and we had basically an assembly line doing takeout.
Who would have thought?
But it was. Once we figured it out, it was easier than having a restaurant open.
Yeah.
So we weren't dealing with liquor laws, insurance, servers. All we were doing, people was picking up food. We figured out, we made it work. It was tough, but it was a little bit easier than actually having the restaurant. But of course we want to have the restaurant open. We want to see people.
The party.
That's bingo.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden we're ready to open. Hey, you can open again. A lot of employees didn't come back. The service industry got just hammered.
Yeah.
We weren't paying people enough. We were taking advantage of people. It was, we were the devils in the world. So people stayed away, employees. Now, again, fortunately, I had my key people that had been with me a long time that stayed.
Yeah.
And we were able to muscle through it. But like you said, we had to raise wages. We had to, food went crazy. It still is crazy.
Yeah.
I'll never.
I don't think they're coming down.
No,
no way. They are what they are. It's the new normal.
Right. Right. Did you ever think you'd pay $20, $25 to eat lunch?
No.
It's, I remember thinking to myself when we're raising prices,
is it sustainable? Are people going to come back?
Right. If I charged $18 for a burrito, I'd be rich.
Yeah.
I'll never have to work again. Now there's burritos that are $18. It's a real thing now. You go out and eat. You're $20.
Yeah.
You're $20.
Mm-hmm.
So people have had to adjust. Some people can't afford to eat out now. Now we're dealing with that. We've lost a lot of the younger families, have a lot of kids. We've really tried to adjust our kids' menu pricing, trying to get that down so they can at least afford to eat out. You have a lot of couples that share meals. But we're still giving away free chips and salsa. But, a lot of restaurants are taking that away.
You're right.
They've gone up. Our costs gone up 200% on chips and salsa, just to make the stuff. So, it's every day still a challenge.
Sure.
But we made it through it. I tell everyone, if you make it through COVID, in those first 2 years after COVID, I don't think there's anything that can stop us now.
Sure.
I think we're going to be fine. And just like you guys, you've used our catering services.
I was going to say, how did that? Yeah. So it did COVID. I think I've seen more of your that side of the business scale.
Our catering's always done very well.
Oh, okay.
That has grown. Our catering business actually grew last year about 27% without a price increase.
Wow.
We didn't take any price increases during last year on our catering. We decided to just try to break it even and or lose money because we wanted to get people to know us. Even though we've been around 23 years, we still wanted to get.
It's a different service, though.
Correct. Right. But they're paying you to get to know you, right?
That's right.
You got a company that's feeding 200 people. You just fed 200 people to try your food. They're like, where are you guys at? So then they come out to the restaurant and they eat out. So we used our catering as our advertising. Basically, that was kind of our advertising.
Oh, that's a great strategy.
So it's worked well for us. Catering's really supported us, taken off.
Yeah.
But our vans, we're all over the place. We're in Park City, Provo, Orem. Today I think we have 9 catering jobs for lunch.
Yeah.
So catering does well, and we're fortunate to have it.
Sometimes people look at a P&L statement like, I'm not making any money on the catering service side, but you looked at it, okay, well, it's my marketing budget. How can I reach 200 people? What's my cost of reaching 200 people versus if I feed them at cost? That's brilliant.
Right.
And all the service side, for the stuff, the exposure you and I got, my wife, and doing that just at cost.
Right. Well, Ty, to this day, I've always supported law enforcement. Mm-hmm. But we still get the officers coming in thanking us. They bring up when we brought them lunch. I just had a Draper PD officer bring it up when we all took lunch to Draper during COVID, just a few days ago. Yeah. They still talk about it. Those guys are overworked, underpaid, and underappreciated. And
underappreciated is
right. And I feel like what we did with Amanda, Rory. Mm-hmm. I really feel like I think it started something here in Utah because a lot of people are doing it. A lot more people do it.
Yeah.
You see posts where, hey, we fed the police. We went, took them sandwiches, took them pizza.
That reminds me. Somebody hit my wife up and said, hey, we'd like to do this, and she couldn't make it work. Another restaurant hit her up, and she's like, I couldn't. I'm tapped.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. But I think we really started a little movement back then, and it's continued to roll. I've been to my colonel's meetings where the chief said, "Oh yeah, restaurant brought us lunch yesterday." That's people say, "Oh, how come you make? Or are you mad? They're doing it? Hell no, it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's great. That's what we want. We want to lead by example. We wanted to start that movement.
Our first responders are people too,
right?
They have to go home to their families. They got to feed their families.
So we flew the flag, the thin blue line flag.
Yeah.
We'd have customers come in and say, "Oh, just so you know, we're leaving," because they'd see the flag flying out there. It's like, see ya. I'd tell people, hope you don't need to call the cops because they're leaving. It was insane. It was absolutely insane.
You're like, I just come on, people. Well, Travis, I appreciate you coming in today, being on the show. I could talk for days. There was a couple more things I wanted to get to, but we're running out of time. any last thoughts you'd want to leave with our audience? Then maybe how they get a hold of you if you'd like, or she can post you on social media.
Well, I appreciate you having us. Again, your wife is amazing. Amanda's just salt of the earth person. She's got a heart of gold. Her and I have a lot in common. We started a thing during COVID. It's called Lido's Love, where we give back to the community. That's really been a huge thing, and Amanda was a big part of that, and you. So we appreciate that, because Lido's Love is
still going.
It's still going. It's going strong.
Rory Hire, forgot about him. It's so over here, but yeah, he's still doing it.
Right. You know, we've done hurricane fundraisers. We've done community fundraisers where we've bought wheelchairs for kids, and it all started during COVID. Lido's Love. So Salsa Lido's are out in Riverton, 13298 South Market Center Drive. We'd love to have you come out and see us. Follow us on Facebook. We do a lot of fun things on Facebook. And or if you just want to watch a restaurant or a small business give back, we do a lot of that. We love it. So
that's what I wanted to get into. So I'll just finish with this, is that, you know, we've also helped with sending truckloads. The last time it was 2, the first time it was 1, and it was amazing that the community, I mean, I remember going and delivering diapers or whatever, and you're like, hey guys, we need it with this, or we need that. And then seeing the progress from you driving across the country, making those deliveries to much needed families, and, you know, even challenges with that. But yeah, Cito's, say it again. You can say it.
Salsa Lido's.
No, Lido's Love.
Oh, Lido's Love.
Lido's Love.
Lido's Love.
Yeah, check him out on Facebook, Instagram, and follow him. And as always, share, like, and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.